Tom just called me, you big baby. But at any rate, these memorial services, they can kind of go either way. They can end up being a very happy occasion. They can end up being a very sad occasion. And sad was not in Tom's vocabulary. It just wasn't part of his makeup. In all the years that he and I spent together, never once did I see him sad. Mad, never sad. So my goal today is to have y'all leave here on a happy note, all smiling, maybe even chuckling a little bit. So I'd like to set that tone by telling you a Yogi Berra story. Everybody knows Yogi Berra. He's probably better known for his one-liners than he is for his 4 World Series rings, but Yogi was living in New York and got word that his good friend and old teammate Mickey Mantle was diagnosed with a terminal illness and was in a hospital down in Texas and not given much more time. So Yogi decided he better fly down and see Mickey one more time. So he gets on the plane, he goes down to Houston, finds the hospital, checks into the hospital. The Mantle fan, he asked where Mickey's room was, and the hospital said, well, the Mantle family has requested no visitors. So he said, would you call up and tell them it's Yogi Berra? They did, and the Mantle family says, send him up. So Yogi goes up, goes into Mickey's room. The family's gathered around the bed there. Mickey's laying in bed. He's awake and coherent. Mickey walks up to him and looks down. And he said, Yogi walks up and looks down at Mickey and he says, Mickey, I want you to know I'm coming to your funeral. Because if I don't, you won't come to mine. Everybody knows Yogi. This was almost, not quite, but almost 45 years ago. Tom and I stumbled into Big Valley. We had just sold a business that we both owned, and we were looking for some property that we could develop into some alfalfa production. So we ran into Carl Parks, told him what we were looking for, and he said, I might know a place that you guys might be interested in. This is right up about 5 miles, 6 miles north of Lookout. So he jumped in Carl's truck, went up, and he introduced us to the Hines boys, Mason and George Hines. And two salt-of-the-earth guys that we were blessed to have met. And the outcome of that meeting is we ended up buying the Hines Ranch. And Tom's been there ever since. And he loved the place. So as you heard from the folks before me, Tom was born in Wyoming right before the outbreak of World War II. My mom and dad and our older brother Bill, who passed away 10 years ago, the 4 of them were there in Cheyenne. My dad was in the airline business. He and a couple partners had started their own airlines. It was called Inland Airlines. And they flew, as their name says, inland. They flew in Wyoming, Colorado, Montana, the Dakotas. And the reason I'm bringing that up is it wasn't long after Tom was born that an airlines out on the West Coast called Western Airlines was interested in those routes that Inland had. So, long story short, Western purchased Inland Airlines. And as part of the deal, our family then of 4 had to move to Los Angeles, which is Western's headquarters. Well, we ended up, about 2 years after they moved to LA, then I came along. And we ended up in a neighborhood called Brentwood in west side of Los Angeles. And if those of you are not familiar with that area, it was right above Sunset Boulevard. And Sunset Boulevard starts in downtown Los Angeles and runs due west out to the Pacific Ocean, to the beach. And in the neighborhoods, it starts downtown starts like Hollywood, then you've got Beverly Hills, and then Bel Air, and then Brentwood, and then Pacific Palisades. Now you're at the beach. To the left is Santa Monica, and to the north is Malibu. So this is not exactly South Central LA. and it's a neighborhood that generated a lot of interesting people that we came across and befriended. And one of them was a friend that he was older than we were. He's quite a bit older than I was, but he was interested in hunting and fishing, and so were we, and we became friends. And he told us, he got us interested in hunting with hounds and what have you. His name was Carl Schweitzer. You all know him. He's Alfalfa from the Little Rascals. So nobody called him Carl, they all called him Alfie. So Alfie was at the house one day. This is I was 12, so it would be 1957. And Alfie came by the house one day, and what's going on? Oh, not much. What's going on with you? Oh, not much. Oh, by the way, we've got this bobcat in our basement. And he says, well, let's go take a look at it. So we go over, and it happens that Tom and our neighbor Tim Wellman had caught this bobcat and decided it needed to be in our basement for a while. This is not a kitten. This is a full-on 20-something pound bobcat. So Alfie, who was the little rascal, is all of a sudden the big rascal. And he says, well, I got an idea. He said, come with me. So we get in his car, we go down to the Goodwill store, everybody pitches in a quarter, and we can buy a suitcase. Come back. There was, I don't know, half a dozen of us. Go into the basement with this bobcat. And the idea is to get the bobcat into the suitcase. Well, since I was the only 12-year-old there, I was elected to hold the suitcase. So the rest of this group coerced this bobcat into the suitcase. Well, there was a lot of fur and four leather words, but they ended up getting the thing in there, and we closed it up. So we're walking out with the suitcase with the bobcat in it, and Tom puts his hand on my shoulder and he says, sorry, you're not old enough to go along on this next part of the adventure. I was old enough to hold the damn suitcase to go with him on the rest of it. So he told me the rest of the story over time. What they did is they went, I think Tim was involved in this, I'm sure. Anyway, they get in the car and they go down to the Pacific Coast Highway and they go north a bit. And along the Pacific Coast Highway there are these Palisades cliffs. And every year when it rains, part of the cliff will fall down. Caltrans comes in, scoops up the dirt, and hauls it away. Over the years, these turnouts, the little shoulders are all of a sudden, 200-300 feet wide. So they've got this, it's like a giant parking area. So they see this one spot by Topanga Canyon, there's a big turnout, there's no cars there, there's nothing there, so they go out and they set the suitcase there. And they turn around and go back down the highway about a quarter of a mile, where they can kind of watch the suitcase. So Tom says, it wasn't too long, this 53 Chevy Chevy pickup truck comes down the highway, and all of a sudden the brake lights come on. They slow down. He said, "There's 3 guys in it." They're looking at the suitcase, and they go on down the highway. About 5 minutes later, the suitcase, or the truck's coming back, and they slow down again, and they look at the suitcase. Another 5 minutes, they're coming back up the highway, the truck pulls over, a guy jumps out, grabs the suitcase. I'm smart enough to put it in the back of the truck. Puts it in the cab with the other 2 guys, and they close the door, off they go. Tom said they pull out and they follow him. They've gone about probably a quarter of a mile, and all of a sudden this truck starts going like this. And it pulls off into one of these shoulders, and it didn't even come to a stop. The doors fly open. All 4 of them come flying out. Tom said he never thought he'd see 3 fat guys out run a bonfire. Those are the types of things that we did as growing up. And I mentioned all the neighborhoods along Sunset Boulevard. Our family with 3 boys, and our next door neighbors, the Wellmans, with 3 boys, we managed to terrorize all those neighborhoods over the years. And I had mentioned earlier, our dad was in the airline business, and part of his deal when he sold his inland airlines was to move to LA. He went to work for Western Airlines. And he got to be a pretty big deal, big enough that in the early 60s, they issued these little, looked like credit cards to Tom and I. They were called Positive A passes. And what it allowed us to do was that you had to call up, make a reservation. Then dial up, make a reservation. We could make a reservation, fly first class, anytime we wanted, and go wherever. And those are back in the days when airline food was really good. Some of you older folks may remember that. The airlines actually competed with each other on who could provide the best food. It's not today like how many people can you jam into this tube. How good your food was. Well, Tom and I had these passes, and we could do whatever we wanted. We were known to fly from LA to San Francisco just for breakfast. Turn around and come home on the lunch flight. And go home and take a nap. So things went along. We continued to grow up there. I guess we continued to grow up. It was 1963, and Tom was at Cal Poly, and I was a senior in high school. And Tom was between quarter breaks there, I think, and so he came home, and he said, "You know, Hugh, we need to take advantage of these passes we got, because our dad's not going to work forever." And I said, "Well, what do you got in mind?" And he says, "Well, I think we ought to think about going to Europe." And I said, "Well, when?" And he said, "Well, I don't know, next week." And I said, "Well, I'm in high school. Mom and Dad are not going to let me get out of quit high school and go to Europe." He said, "Well, let me talk to him." So he did, and he approached him, and he said that the 2 of us needed to go to Europe and enlighten our cultural backgrounds by visiting all the museums and art galleries and study the Gothic architecture over there. So my folks knew that we needed some cultural experience. And they bit into it, and they said, "Okay, let's go." So we did. So I ended up quitting school, and Tom took a quarter off of school at Cal Poly, and off we went. And our first stop was Amsterdam, which is a cultural experience in itself. But one day we were in Amsterdam. We each had a big suitcase. That's all we had. We were on this. I don't know if any of you remember. They used to have a book, Europe on $5 a day. Well, it actually worked. Back then, you could, but you had to have a suitcase. And so we each had these big suitcases, and we decided we needed to move from one hotel to another one for some reason. I don't know where it was. And we had these bicycles. And these bicycles were nothing fancy. They were just a seat with 2 wheels and a sprocket, some pedals, and 1 brake. And so to ride the thing, you had to hold on to the handle with one hand and hold your suitcase with the other. Well, we took off and we're headed down to this new digs we were going to, this other hotel. I'm sure it wasn't very fancy, but we came over a little hill, and then it started down a kind of gradual hill. There were a lot of hills in Amsterdam. At each intersection over there in Europe, there's a fountain and a statue or something going on in the middle, and then all the roads come together like a spoke. So you got to go around and around like this to get from here across there. You got to go around. So I stopped at the top of the hill because I wasn't quite sure how I was going to navigate this thing. Well, Tom kept going. He picked up some speed going down this little hill. All of a sudden, he realized the brake was on the same side as the How he did it, I'm not sure, but he ended up getting his bicycle in these trolley car tracks that were about that deep. And he didn't wreck or anything, but he got the bicycle in the trolley tracks. And so he ended up pedaling around the circle like this, trying to get the thing out. And he couldn't stop because the trolley car was coming. The trolley car conductor saw what was going on, and he thought this is the greatest thing he'd ever seen. He said, ding, 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 ding. Tom's pedaling. The people on the trolley car thought this is terrific. This is Tom is pedaling away, and pretty soon the trolley car peeled off and went down another street, but Tom was still in the track on it. And somehow he was able to hop the front wheel out of the trolley car track, but not the back wheel didn't make it. So the whole thing ended up being a train wreck out there in the middle of this intersection. Of course, the suitcase fell open, and all the stuff falls out of the suitcase. So I'm out there stopping back and doing this while Tom loads his gear back up. It's pretty much one of the ways we traveled in Europe at that time. I think the closest we came to any museums or art galleries was the postcards we'd send home. That was our cultural upbringing. We also ended up on that same trip over in West Berlin. And this is 1963. Tom was activated in the Air National Guard in 61, and so we get into West Berlin, and he said, well, let's find this Berlin Wall to see what he was activated. He was activated for a year because of the Berlin crisis, but they sent him to Hawaii for a year, so go figure. Anyway, we decided we needed to see the Berlin Wall, so we did, we found it, and there was this place called Checkpoint Charlie, and I don't know why it's kind of a famous place. I don't know why it was called Checkpoint Charlie. It could have been Checkpoint Dave or Steve, whatever. Checkpoint Charlie it was, so they had a bridge there, I think, where West Germans were on one side and the East Germans were on the other side of this bridge, and I think that was probably the checkpoint Charlie, but about 100 yards down from this bridge where you could cross in from East Germany to West Germany, you couldn't see East Germany from the West German side because they built this damn wall. So about 100 yards down, the West Berliners had built a little viewing platform. You could climb up some stairs. It wasn't very big. It was about a 4x6 thing that you could stand on, and you could look over the wall into East Germany. And I think they did it so they could wave at their relatives or whatever. We got up there and we looked, and all there were these mean-looking characters with their Kalashnikov rifles. And you know, if you looked at them too long, they'd go like that. So they were some scary-looking outfits. But so we stayed up there for a while, and we gave them the single finger salute. They acknowledged it. So we decided to go get down, and I went first, and then I got down to the bottom of the thing, and I'm walking down the street, and I'm maybe half a block away, and I hear all this yelling and screaming and cheering and whistling and people clapping and going, hey, whatever they were yelling in German. And there's a big crowd. There's like 20 people at the bottom of these stairs of this deal. And they're all looking up there and they're going, you know, what's going on? So I looked there. I thought Tom was right behind me. He wasn't. So I walked back there. There's a crowd of people. And I look up. And sure enough, there's Tom mooning the. That immediately made him a national hero. So when you're a national hero, they have to introduce you to all the pubs up and down the street. That was just one of the many stories that we could tell. We ended up doing the same thing all over again. A couple of years later, we went down to South America and Central America and enlightened our cultural background down there. These airline passes turned out to be a pretty good deal for us. Our older brother never got one. He was the scholar and athlete in the family. He was at the Air Force Academy when a lot of this was going on. He's the only person I know that played 8 years of collegiate football and baseball, and I don't know how he ever did that. So there's a lot of stories that I could continue on here all afternoon, but I have 3 daughters here, so I think I'll quit while I'm ahead. So, anyway. You know, Maher said he had a 40-year relationship with Tom. Well, I got Maher beat. I got 74 relationship with him. And it was pretty special. And, you know, as many of you know, brothers can have issues. And we did. But we always resolved them, and it worked out. And in the end, it turned out that Tom and I were really just best friends. And best friends are hard to replace. So Tom's going to be missed by all. And again, I thank you all for coming today.